Okay, here we go. Welcome back, everyone, to our daily live for reclaiming our supreme authority of our reality, using the law of assumption to reclaim all the parts of our life that we have been submitting to unconsciously and learning how to swallow them, eat them, transmute them back into our body so we know what it is to be in a state of being, of actually being the complete authority, to be the God of your reality, to be the only cause, and this outer world being the world of effects, the shadow, if you will. What I'd like to focus on today is reacting and how to really get into your body and come into a place of certainty when everything in your outer world is pulling up energy, is pulling up reactions, is pulling up old beliefs, where there's going to be that impulse to submit. It's going to be that impulse to react, to get shaky. And instead, we're going to use that as a moment to keep reclaiming our authority, to stay in a state of certainty, to stay in our body, and to learn how to really breathe through it and no longer give additional meaning or energy to the outer world. Some things that we need to remember. This outer world and whatever is happening, it is a reflection of our dominant assumptions and our state of being. Now, where this can obviously become very shaky is a lot of those assumptions, especially if you've been doing the work like me for a while, you're really going in deep. You're going into like the core fundamentals of authority, right? If you really are the authority, you really are the boss of your reality, well then yeah, there's going to be circumstances that reflect those assumptions growing up that were implanted within us, right, unconsciously, that they're just showing up so you can reclaim them, but they're going to shake your authority. There's going to be that impulse to ask for permission. There's going to be the impulse to react and then condition your wish fulfilled, thinking something went wrong. There's going to be the impulse to question if it's working. There's going to be the impulse essentially for hesitation. It's always the impulse. If we were going to, I guess, narrow it down to one thing, the impulse is, am I the authority or not? Is the 3D the authority or am I the authority? And I find getting down to like the bare bones of things like that makes it a lot easier, because when we're in that moment where we want to react, we're feeling shaky, our nervous system is triggered, there's a lot going on, and we might start spiraling, right? The thoughts start to go. I love having just a few anchor things to get into my body, to breathe, and whether it's just like repetition or visualizing something, this is where I use inner conversations. We are just reminding ourselves and staying strong that I'm the authority. I'm the authority. Whatever is happening, it's for me. Whatever's going on, it's just something for me to remind myself I'm bigger than this. I'm the authority. Whatever's going on, it's part of my wish fulfilled. Whatever's happening, it's part of my bridge where I'm just going to reclaim, I'm going to eat up this energy. Now, what I mean when I say eat up the energy, if you've done my unmasking course, then you'll see a lot of examples of, meditations and scripts I've done to really bring this into the body. But instead of avoiding, instead of ignoring, instead of fighting, instead of fleeing, we're going to eat it. We're going to swallow it. We're going to visualize, yourself, your person. You can like literally just visualize yourself eating it and saying, this is mine. Whatever is happening, it's mine. I can swallow this. I can take this. I can handle this, and I can transmute it into whatever I want it to be. I'm bigger than this. So you'll notice when something is happening, right? And again, if you're someone that, like myself, like in the past, I was a big people pleaser. I was doing a lot of things unconsciously to make sure I was always safe. Well, if I'm the operant power, then I decide I'm always safe. And instead of responding to my environment okay, my environment's now responding to me. But to have that authority, right? When something is shaking me and I feel my energy going within and I start questioning, I start getting small, this is where you want to visualize and do it right now with something that shook you up recently. I want you to visualize whether it's a color, an energy, or just a massive version of you, in your person. Literally like taking a spoon and like eating it, swallowing it, taking whatever's going on and just saying, you are my energy and I'm reclaiming you. I'm going to mold you. I'm going to make you into what I want you to be. Because you're here for me. You're showing me whatever I need to see to fuel me. And even in that pain, even in that terror, even in that need to please, that fear, you're eating that too. You're saying, I'm still bigger than this. This doesn't move me. And as you imagine like your energetic body, yourself getting really big, or you and your person, just eating it, consuming it, bringing it into you. What's doing a few things. It's reminding yourself, okay, it's not out there separate from me. If I'm eating it, no matter how poisonous it might seem, I know that I can digest this. It's still here for me. It's not some outer thing that has power over me. Now, obviously, find whatever visual or phrase works for you. But the opportunity always is, I'm bigger than this. I'm not going to shrink. I'm not going to run. I'm not going to fight it because it is me. And as I transmute this, as I eat this, as I take it in for what it is, and I know it's me, and I allow my body to kind of straighten up, I allow my breath to go deep and big again, and I just digest it like it's a intense meal, right? I've already done the most important thing because I already did the thing I wasn't doing before. Because before, if we were shrinking to it, right, that was unclaimed energy every time. That when we do this work, it comes back stronger. Like it is absolutely, you are here to reclaim everything. I know Neville Goddard talks about in one of his lectures, he talks about, especially as we really come into being the Operant Power, no stone goes unturned. And I have found this to be so true, where I have had thoughts show up in my face and I remember when I thought about it and I just was like, whatever, that won't hurt me. That's not a big deal. Like I had kind of a laissez-faire of like, it's fine. I can just ignore that. I can avoid that. And then it would come up in this massive situation. And especially as you get more into your wish fulfilled, more into the Operant Power, things like that start to feel so uncomfortable, right? Because they're holding a frequency, they're holding an energy that is just, it's just not on, it's not on the state of being of your wish fulfilled. So there's going to be that discomfort. And the thing I want to really, I guess, share is discomfort is part of growth in this. And if we can learn to turn that pain into pleasure, that's the more tantric approach to the law of assumption. To me, it's how I blend it. This is where you build that confidence. I mean, Neville also says, I used to have these quotes so solid. It was basically like, your confidence in yourself as God is like the determining factor, right? If you were to manifest your wish fulfilled instantly, if that's something you wanted to do, the only thing you would need is complete certainty and confidence that what you do within is reflected without. If you had total certainty and confidence, it has to change. There is no variable. The only variables that are ever showing up, because these are just immutable laws, they're not like going to change based on how good you are or how good you aren't, right? This is where we have to take that younger child stuff, where we're not looking for approval. We're not looking to some outer God and saying, am I doing a good job? Is this enough? It's not like that. It's just very neutral of once you have certainty on any assumption, it's done, it's there. Because there's nothing to shake that. You have certainty. The only things that ever shake anything, right, is just those lingering doubts still, that a part of you still hasn't swallowed. You still haven't neutralized it. Okay, so as we come into this confidence that I'm the Operant Power, my wish fulfilled is what's done, as the things that are happening that are still shaking your certainty, they're pulling up the doubts, they're pulling up the emotional reactions, that is the only thing to do, is to swallow it, to see it as your own, to come back into your body, to witness what the thoughts are, and then to decree with certainty what you want it to be. I've been using the technique that I was sharing recently, where it's not taking these thoughts and getting into like a happy tone and a perfect tone, because with certainty, it's just a matter, you could be sad and certain, you can be angry and certain, you could be happy and certain, right? I use the example, my name's Katie when I'm sad, my name's Katie when I'm happy, my name's Katie, whatever, whenever. That's just certainty. It's just very neutral. It is what it is. And so this is where I know that can get a little confusing depending on what you've followed in the past. But even when you have those thoughts of like, this is shaking me, what if I did something wrong? What if I'm messing this up? What does this mean for my desire? In the same tone, when you swallow this and you learn just to be with it. So let's do an experience of it. Let's ground it here. So I want you to ground into your body, take some big breaths in and out. And it helps so much to imagine that as you breathe, right, into the lungs, the heart, into the solar plexus, into the womb or your creative center, into the root, imagine that you are also connected to the ground beneath you. You're connected to the center of the earth, which is also you. I want you to imagine that you're connected to the higher realms, the universe, the sky, because it is you. And I want you to also just kind of encapsulate everything around you in your environment with your own energy right now. Like maybe it's a color, maybe there's a color that feels good to you, and just imagine that that color is now kind of overlaying all the energy around you. You could see it as like spinning atoms. You can just kind of see it like, this is all my imagination. Okay, behind you as well, in front of you. And as you kind of imagine this, I want you to also imagine that the environment that you're in right now, that's all there is. There's no future, there's no past, there's just you. And you are also the ceiling. You are also the ground. You are also the walls behind you, the walls in front of you, wherever you are. Now, if you really want to get creative with your imagination, imagine that you can pop out of your body. You can see the you that is meditating and doing this. You can imagine being a friend, a loved one, your person next to you, watching you. Right? Your I am is your imagination. It's everything. And it's the you, the identity that is viewing this. Okay? But breathe into that for a moment, that all of this is your energy. Below you, above you, behind you, in front of you. Another great way to do inner conversations. Hear the ceiling tell you like, hey, I am you. Hear the ground tell you, hey, I am you. That threatening thing in front of you, the phone with no messages, the account that doesn't have the money, the person that's not responding the way you want. Hear them, visualize them just saying to you, but I am you. I'm responding to you. And we're just reminding ourselves like, this is actually an interactive universe that is you. And there's no future and there's no past. It's just here and now. So feel into that for a moment and see if you can breathe into the power of that. Like, I'm the only power right now. I'm the only authority. There's no external thing that I'm asking permission for this thing from. There's no past thing that I need to make up for. Whatever's coming up right now, even if it's a memory of the past or a fear of the future to revise, that's all here and now. And just like those realities exist, so does the reality of my wish fulfilled. My wish fulfilled is actually here and now, right? Because in the hologram, it contains all parts of the whole, right? So just like that phone that doesn't have the message, there's the phone that does. Just like there's the account that doesn't have the numbers, there's the account that does. Just like there's the person that is showing rejection, abandonment, hurt, there's the person that shows stability, love, devotion, that cherishes you, that adores you. And just like there's this version of you here that's uncertain and afraid and still kind of wobbling, there's the version of you that is in complete, ultimate power, authority, certainty. And you've been connecting with that you. Every time you connect to your wish fulfilled, that's the you that is certain it has it. And all that's been happening is you've been going through different states as you become more certain of that you that has it. Just as you have the things around you right now with that type of certainty and almost blandness, it has all those same things, just rearranged a little differently, right? So we're not going out there to get that. We're not like working hard, extending and becoming it and getting approval. We're not going back and healing. So like one day we'll be whole and perfect. It's all in the here and now. So breathe into that. Remind yourself that. Remind all parts of you it's all here and now, no matter what is happening or what I'm feeling. My wish fulfilled is done and it's present with me. It's mine. I can eat it. I can taste it. I can swallow it. It's mine. Just like this older reality in front of me, that's mine too. The beauty of this as well when you do this, because when we invalidate something, when we fight against it, like that's not my preferred thing, we're still submitting to it, right? One of my favorite things that I love to remind myself from Neville is he's like, indifference is what cuts, right? When we react, we bind. When we are indifferent to something, it severs it. He always talks about, isn't always, but the one I always think about, he's like, when you cut the head off a snake, it'll still, like the body will still move, but it's dead. It's dead. But so many people put the head back on the snake, and that's what we do when we react, right? And that's okay, but as we train the mind to stay in the body and claim the authority every time, and we really like in the most loving way invalidate, but this is not invalidate with a reaction. It's like we see it, but we know it can't hurt us. We know it can't affect us. We know it's for us. We know we can eat it. Whatever's happening, that is true indifference. That is true indifference. That no matter what this is showing me right now, I can see through to the reality where it shows me what I want to see. No matter what they're saying right now, I can hear what I want to hear. That's the power of awakened imagination. And the more we learn to sit through the discomfort and move this intent energy, then we are also learning to direct our awakened imagination that as it's happening, and you hear the mind going, how does this affect my tomorrow? What do I do? How do I get safe? How do I get happy? How do I avoid this pain? And instead you just hear your person, no matter what they're saying out there, no, I'm right here and I love you. And this is what's real. Yep, they love me and this is what's real. As the accounts are like, oh, bills to pay, it's not working out. No, bills are paid. My accounts are always, always overflowing. That's what I see. That's what I see. And my imagination is the authority. That is not the authority. My imagination is the authority. Every time we do that, every time we breathe into it and we decree it again and again, and we learn to feel safe in our body, we learn to feel safe in our imagination, you are reclaiming it. You are assuming and staying in the state of the wish fulfilled until truly the same thing that would have, put you in a spiral a week ago, a day ago, it could happen. And you're just in your end. You're like, no, here's the message. Here's the money. Here's the person loving me, whatever it is, right? Here's the house. Here's the environment. You can literally get to a place where you just like overlay it. And it's not from a place of like, again, fighting it or invalidating it. You're just so indifferent to it because you know you are the authority. You know you're right. And so a big part of this too that I wanted to convey tonight was getting into that self-concept of certainty of, yes, I'm always right. Because whether you like it or not, that's the truth. Whatever you decide you are certain on, you're going to be right. It'll prove you right every time. I'm always right. I always decree what's going on. I decide how others show up. I am the sole power here. And whether I like it or not, that's just the rule. That's how it goes. I decide nobody else is going to decide this for me. They can't. There is nobody else in my reality. Everyone's a reflection of me and my assumptions, right? And so part of this supreme authority is that responsibility. And it's not with blame. It's not with shame. It's just like, this is just what it is. So what I decree is what's happening. What I assume about the circumstances and what they're doing, what they're not doing, that's what I'm going to keep living in. Only I can change it. And so then when we get into the people pleasing thing, right, of they're not going to like it, or they're not going to appreciate that, or I can't do that because society at large. Every time you submit, right, like that, you are the only one relinquishing your power to the mirror, because the mirror doesn't care. In the most loving way, the mirror doesn't care. The subconscious out here, it doesn't care. It's just going to give you what you assume. It's unconditional in the way that it's just going to reflect whatever you're certain on. So this is where, like, you are the only one that can have your own back here. You're the only one that can decide whether they like it or not. They cherish me and love me. Whether my bank account like is into it or not, I'm a whatever you want to be. Whether it likes it or not, like, and there has to be this freedom of like whether the mirror likes it or not, because it doesn't have a preference. Remember, it really doesn't. What I'll say is this: the preference will always be that it will provide you with what you decree, with what you decide. Like, life will always choose expansion in whatever forms. It'll be expansion in lack. It'll be expansion in abundance. It'll be expansion in loneliness. It'll be expansion in love. It'll be expansion in powerlessness. It'll be expansion in power. It's going to expand and amplify no matter what. It will do that for you. It'll magnify and it'll expand it. That's what life will do. But you decide what is going to get magnified. You decide, right, what's going to continue. And so all the places where we are still submitting, still giving it up to some other, there is no other. You are not benefiting anyone. So all that like shame or false humility that we've been taught, it is our responsibility to reclaim that, which is why I'm doing all this for myself and to share it, because you are the only one that can do this. That's what you came to do. So I'd love to know in the comments your thoughts on this. And if you're practicing different visuals or things, share what's working, share what's not. But ultimately, I do find the more you can always see the 3D as an opportunity to reclaim your power and remind yourself that you are the authority. If that's all you're doing, then that's all you need to do. Because that's all this really is. If we're just here to realize that we're the God of our reality, that we are the authority, it's not about pleasing some others. There's nothing else to please. It really is indifferent. It's just going to expand whatever you decree. There's so much freedom in that, along with the at times heavy lifting of moving through some really implanted like subconscious beliefs. But if it's showing up, it's because you're already bigger than it. So just remember that. All right, we will do more for my workshop tomorrow. Have a good night.